Hello and welcome to a brand new series on the channel, Series 31. We're going to start a new game with the Iron Teeth, and we're going to play a custom map that a lot of you have been asking for called Ant Farm. This is version 3, it's the newest available version of this concept that I could find, and we are going to play on hard mode because why would I ever want to play on anything else? Alright folks, you know the drill. It's going to be named Beaverberg, and I already misspelled it, good job. 31. Alright, so it's worth hitting pause just right off the bat before we get too far and take a look at the map, see what we're up against, and also discuss the small changes that they've made since the last time we started a new series. So, if we scroll all the way down to the very, very bottom, you're going to see that this map has 5 water sources, 1 bad water source, and 1 mine. It's like a kind of like a diorama situation, but it's spread out a little bit more in one direction, and there's a lot of verticality. There's 3 distinct levels, I would say. Here with the district center, and then here up on top. Obviously, there's some variation top to bottom, front to back a little bit. This is a bit thicker side to side than the version 2 or some of the other similar maps you may have seen, but I think this is still going to be a very nice vertical challenge and be befitting of the Iron Teeth, as we always like to play them. But I've checked this out before in dev mode before I started this one. These 3 sources here are set to 0.5 strength, and these 2 over here are set to 1.0. The bad water sources, the bad water source, that's just the way those always go. But we now have an additional beaver as of the most recent update to experimental mode, and we have 9 adults and 4 kits to start instead of 8 and 4. So a little bit of a leg up in the early game, and we're going to need it on this map because remember folks, this is hard mode, and things are going to get real rough on this map if we aren't careful with how we start. So we start in the middle here. We have our district center. We actually have some decent accessibility to some other parts of the map. We can go all the way around the back side here. We can go up to this with these birch trees. We can go down to these birch trees. We can go down again. Down again, down again, down again, all the way to the bottom here. And then if we go back to over on this side, we have the ability to get up here. We have the ability to get up here, 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 and here, all the way to the top. We basically, minus a couple of areas where inside of the same, I guess we'll call it, the same main level area, we can get to just about everything. Little bits and pieces, no, we'll have to build some stairs. But it's very good access from the get-go, which is very encouraging considering, 1, again, this is hard mode, and 2, we can't have stairs until we get science, and with a map this small, with a very, very limited ability to store water until we can build stuff, we don't want to be focusing on science super early. So, what we're going to do is get started right off the bat, cutting some trees down, clearing some space near our district center for some farming opportunities. And there's so many trees on this map, we really don't need to worry about trying to preserve anything. Because even when we get bad water stuff coming in, it's probably not going to kill all the trees. It might make it a little rough, but I think we can handle it. So let's get those marked for cutting. Come in here, attach our pathway to this bit. We're going to give this access here so none of these trees come up in the way. So we've got good access to that. Got good access to that. Make sure that's hooked up there. I believe that is going to be the vast majority of what we're going to want access to right off the bat. So that's going to take care of getting trees cut. We will, of course, have to have a lumberjack flag to take care of that for us. And this is going to be really convenient to have this guy right here because, well, it's kind of out of the way and can also reach just about everything. So, in terms of berries, we start with 90. There are some bushes over here. Down here, there's some other bushes, but I don't see anything that's actually ready to harvest. So we probably don't need to worry about it quite yet. We're going to see what happens. But I'm thinking we're going to want to get rolling on farming just about as fast as possible. Because remember, Remember, it's hard mode, so we're not going to have 15 straight days the first cycle. Oh, yeah, we got to figure out how to play. No. All right, so let's get this rolling here. We've got these guys ready to work. Building a lumberjack flag. In fact, let's go ahead and do 2. Just because, well, you know how this goes. And we're going to get those set up. We're going to want to get water pumping very, very soon as well. There is a little bit of a pool here and a little bit of a pool here. We also have some up top, but we don't really have great fast access up there quite yet. So for the purpose of actually getting clean water, probably right about here is going to be our best bet. And they'll take care of that. We don't have any water right now, so we probably actually want to... Yeah, we're going to want to get these specifically 2 trees out of the way first. Which they are going to want to come over here and do that before we have a chance to do anything. Let's get that... There we go. Just get those 2 out of the way. And as soon as that's done, hit pause. I say as I hit unpause. And remark just about all of this. That should be fine there. Okay, so let's grab our deep water pump. That's going to go in there, and that will give us a... It's the smallest of areas from which to pump when the drought begins. It's going to be gone almost immediately, but every little bit matters. You know how this goes. And then we'll get that hooked up there. Obviously, it's going to take us a little bit of time to get all that taken care of. And we'll need to be cognizant of that. But we'll go ahead and get a small tank set up right here. And then we are going to start growing some stuff just as soon as reasonably possible. Again, we don't have any berries to gather right now. So, Iron Teeth, of course, have the lovely 2x2 farmhouse that does not take up a ton of space. Kohlrabies take 3 days. Cassavas require processing, of course, but it's very simple processing. But it's still 5 days for 1 unit. And when you process it, that 1 unit turns into technically 2.5 units when you divide that out. That's fine, but you have to have power for that. So, for the time being, kohlrabies are going to be our very best friend. So, you know how that goes. Just get that set up. Try to make sure we can kind of speed run a little bit of nutrition because these aren't going to last forever. And they're already, yeah, just about finished with that. That is a very good sign. Get those guys pumping, or I guess that one guy pumping. We can remember, well, we can always remember, we have brains. Got a 6 deep straw on these things, so depending on how we wanted to do this, I couldn't do it right here because of the way this is set up, but I could probably, if I had 1 more tile, I know that's a big ask right now, but if I had 1 more tile, I could get down into the water below. It's not meant to be, though, so we'll let them do what they got to do there and keep on keeping on. I still got 4 beavers who are unemployed. I think by the time we get this farmhouse set up, it's not going to matter, so let's get these 2 set as builders. Get some more kohlrabies in here. Give them a little bit more space. Actually, I'm going to take that out so I can put a path there. Because I get the feeling we're probably going to want to put a couple more over here. But not too bad. Not too bad for the very first day here. Let's get this on triple speed for the overnight. And try to get as much done as we possibly can. The other stuff of note for this playthrough. I'm going to kind of let you guys drive the bus, so to speak, on what you would like to see. Obviously, there's a bunch of different ways we could take this, and I'm sure everyone's going to have different ideas, but we're in a completely new, brand new playthrough. Got all sorts of opportunities to kind of define what we want this to be, and I think a lot of you, especially if you've played this map before, might have some pretty good or insightful ideas. So I'll let you do that. Yeah, still got a couple of these to cut down. We're going to want to make sure that we're not getting too bogged down, if we can avoid it. I don't right now have the option to do much of anything with the research yet, because remember I did say I wanted to make sure I got food and water absolutely squared away as much as I possibly could. So we'll we'll see what ends up happening there. Let's just get this finished up here. We can get those guys planting, and once those things are growing, we can send them to go do something else. But I do want to make sure that I don't block myself out of getting to any specific parts of the map if I don't have to. Let me run a path through here just in case. Alright, just about the end of the workday. Don't want to extend it quite yet. I think that should be fine there. That's not going to be a usable tile, so we can plant stuff. So 3 days, our berries will have no problem lasting that long. That should be okay. Now, we also have to remember, there you go. Iron Teeth breed with the breeding pods, and we're going to want to get one of those set up sooner rather than later, especially if we're going to be out of berries for a while. We want to get that thing brewing. So, space up here that may not be very usable. I'm going to stick a breeding pod right here and get that thing loaded up. I don't think that's going to be very much of a deal. Water is going to become an issue probably sooner rather than later, and I'm going to want to put another one of these back over here at the very least. Depending on how we want to play our cards here, we're not going to have a bad tide for at least 2 more cycles. So if I am able to get 40 pieces of wood in place that I don't need to put something else in, then I could put dams here and get a little bit more security, but I don't think that's worth the trade-off with this small of a pool. We're going to have to do some terraforming for that to really be viable. Of better interest to me, I think, is going to be getting this area cleared out. In fact, I know I keep changing how I do this, but let's get that removed so that I can put another pump over here, because the one pump, yeah, it's going to be fine for 12, 13 beavers, kind of. But we're going to want that a lot sooner than you think. Yeah, especially we have to keep this thing supplied before things go too crazy. There we go. And once this is ready to actually, maybe about halfway, once they get the last of those berries and the water resupply in, I am going to probably pause it. Just so we have one in the tank, so to speak. Actually, literally one in the tank, because it's a baby beaver brewing bucket. There you go. There's your tongue twister of the afternoon, or whenever you're watching this video. We can put a pump in here. We can't put it in here until I do some research. This is the same height here, so it probably doesn't matter, but this is already here, and I can put another one here if I'm really truly desperate. So for where we are now, this is probably going to be just fine. I'll need to keep this path in case I need to put something there. That's okay. This seems like another really easy place to put a tank, so I'm going to put that there. Remember, this is hard mode. That's why I'm emphasizing this so much. Otherwise, bad things are going to happen. And it has gone such a way before. Those of you who have watched these videos for a long time absolutely know that. Alright, so outside of that, we probably should work on getting some housing together soon. Again, I'm not really worried about trees quite yet. But I see we do still have 2 extra beavers right now, because we get a couple of these guys grown up. So, I know I did say, well, you don't really need to worry about inventors yet. Well, I think since we currently have the extra labor available, it's not going to be a bad choice to just get this going. Just because this is convenient right here. Doesn't have to stay here. Let's make sure this is at the minimum workplace prioritization so that doesn't become an issue. Now we got 2 of these guys pumping away to get us some water here. That's going to be very helpful. About halfway to the kohlrabi's here. We are out of berries. Remember, that is why I started the... Yeah, we actually can't even refill this yet, so it's a good thing that I got that done. That's going to get us a lot closer to what we want to be at. Hey, I do see some berries coming in. Okay, let's take advantage of that, if I can find a good place to put something. I know I've got some available here, and if I stick this right here... okay, it was a little bit suboptimal, but it's going to get me all of these, and I guess that's probably about the best I can do. Yeah, slowly accumulating. Slowly. Oh, we're getting there. There we go. We got these guys working away. And get this thing loaded back up. And I think we're going to be in pretty good shape. It's day 4, which in hard mode, minimum is 5 days for a temperate cycle. The maximum is 8. So we should see in the morning here a warning that we're going to be having a drought sometime soon. So I am going to, since we're not doing anything else with this space, I am going to plant some more kohlrabi so that we can, well, okay, well, they're going to do it in the morning, but so we can actually grow this before we have our drought coming. Because all this pretty quick is going to be completely desolate. Yep, there we go. Drought approaching. So some of this may still be irrigated until about midday on the first day of the drought. But we've done our best to get this taken care of, and I think that's going to be fine. Let's come back and now that this is not going to be trees probably for a very long time, if ever again, get those unmarked and instead start cutting these down. We've got all of this space up here that could be very useful if we are able to do stuff with it. Okay, so we got drought coming up. We've got food that is just about ready to be harvested. 93%. I'm hoping they can do that before the end of the workday. I may end up extending it. Just about full on water storage. This one has yet to be finished because we didn't have logs. Let's do ourselves a favor, because you know how this is going to go. Let's just get these other tanks set up. What is it, 2.6 or 2.1 something water per day per beaver in hard mode? Just want to make sure we can survive long enough. These guys are, in fact, very, very hungry, to absolutely no one's surprise. Fear not, beavers. Soon, you will have sustenance. Pay no attention to the fact that only 4 out of the 13 are satiated. Oh, they're going to be fine. They'll be okay. I hope they didn't go to bed yet. I think that didn't quite reach the bottom. There we go. They're plucking those things out of the ground. I guess I should make sure that's set to harvest priority, but it's okay. Oh, yeah. Wake up tomorrow morning and go in the fields and pull them out of the ground. You're going to be all right. You're not going to die of starvation in one day. All right. So that takes care of that. Probably should have made a second farmhouse, but I didn't really have a great spot to put it yet. All right, we got a couple of these that are ready to get picked. We can pick them during a drought. Just remember that they're not going to be growing anything else during a drought. So I do have the ability to get up here. I've got a path. I'm going to go ahead and have that come up to there. Well, and up until a little bit we had an empty beaver there. I'm going to get this set up as a priority workplace and priority construction site so that we can take advantage of these. I don't think... Yeah, there's probably not... Yeah, I don't think... There you go. There's your headline. I don't think there's going to be too many more of these we're going to get before this drought comes up. I just want to make sure we're being responsible here. Any of these? Okay, there's a few. There's a couple. It's worth keeping this one employed. And we do have beaver in here getting us some science points. Don't really need to be super worried quite yet. I am going to try and find a place to stick another farmhouse. Are these going to grow up anytime soon? Nope. I made a blunder there for sure. What if I get these guys in here? Do they have range all the way? They do. Okay, let's get these taken out, and I can put another farmhouse down here. It's not going to matter by the time we get there. But I think we should be all right. All right. How close is our baby beaver brewing bucket? There you go. Say that one 10 times fast. Not quite. Not quite, but we need to get on that. Okay, we do have some available here. We'll be okay. We'll be all right. Might be a little tiny bit rough, but we'll make it. We have that set to harvest because that is the only thing that matters at this point. Aren't going to be able to regrow anything until the cycle 2 anyway. First drought's usually pretty short, so we'll see how that goes. I just need these guys to resupply this thing. They'll do that after their work. They always do. You got extra space for pumping. I mean, we're already fine for what's probably going to be their first drought length anyway. But remember, if you don't have water security in early game Timberborn, you have absolutely nothing. Just universally true statement. Alright, looks like that's going to be good to go probably for the rest of the duration. We got 1 day left. Yeah, I think we can be reasonably satisfied with this. Yeah, we'll probably during this drought be able to build maybe, I have to check clearance on this, but maybe one more of these inventors. Okay, that's not going to fit there. That is the other challenge with this, is finding places where you can actually build, well, anything. Some are worse than others. I should be able to take all this. These have a drought resistance of 2 days. That's a nice thing they added. Well, it's been in the game for a while, but you've been playing for 4.5 years. You're not used to this being there. How many of you played before Update 4 when they gave the Iron Teeth their own food infrastructure and different crops? That was a fun update. Alright, let's see what is happening with our drought here. Very first cycle. 4 days. Alright, so a 4-day drought means we are already... we could be better on water. We could definitely be better on water. But we could also be a whole lot worse. I'll just tell you that much. We do have a tiny bit left to pump out of here, but that's going to be, it's going to be gone almost immediately. I've got, I don't know, 2/3 of one block deep, and it's only 3 blocks in an L. So, you know how that goes. That's 76%. These are able to be picked up here. Yeah, this went dry almost immediately. So our only hope at this point, folks, is grabbing these berries out of here. That's going to keep our beavers alive. I'm going to hit pause on this right now. See that tiny little sliver of not quite yet brewed all the beaver in there? That may save our butts. It might just do that. So, well, let's pause and collect our thoughts here a little bit. There is still some water here. It will be evaporated before the end of this drought, even if I hit pause on this now. So while it may be tempting to say, oh, well, you should have planted stuff here, it's not, the water's not going to be there. However, comma, if we can keep the water in here long enough to at least get some of these crops grown, I think, what is this going to be, like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12-ish tiles? And they're partially grown. That's going to be that much less time it will take for us to get on the other side. So, what I will do now is I'm going to put this in planting mode. And all we've got to do is keep those alive for another minimum 2.2 or 2.3 days. So if we can keep those alive until... these guys aren't doing anything anyway, so it doesn't matter. But if we can keep them alive until this says like 1.6, I think we'll be okay. Because water comes in from above, nearly immediately fills this in here. How is this still... oh, it's irrigated from here? Okay. Well, that may actually help us out a lot because these are... okay, a couple of these are going to be grown up here. It's probably all right. So I'm going to pause this. Once again, we have enough water now. I'm going to let them do that. And then probably, since this is already picked apart. Let's bring a path through here so we can access more of this space. And I'll bring this around here. Just while we have the opportunity, just make sure we have our thoroughfares set up. We can get all the way down. This doesn't let us get all the way up, but we already have most of that from up here. I'm going to keep this set up right there so we can connect that later. And I don't know that we can really, or should really, do too much else pathing-wise. Let's take a look. That can connect up to there. I was thinking about putting a thing here, so we'll see. This could also be... That's a new sound. Blockages having a sound. That's cool. So I think that is probably fine there. Anything else hidden over here? I don't think so. If we go all the way down... Okay, there's a little bit more I can connect down here. That's about to be completely dry, except for the little pools at the bottom. Yeah, so some of this, before we get, bad tides at maybe, what, cycle 4 or something, we should probably get down there and take care of the rest of this. But for now, this is looking okay. I've got 28 science. We're going to want to start planting trees. Not necessarily right now, but pretty soon. They did change the forester, I believe, for, was it 1.0 or maybe late update 7, to be cheaper in terms of science. That is 30 science, which we almost have. And all we'll need to do to get that, of course, is to put an industrial lumber mill in, which is 20 planks, 20 logs. And then we can either build a compact water wheel, which not happening right now, or the beard wheel, which stands for beaver exercise and rotary device in this channel, at least. Other people call it other things. But that's 50 logs, which I could get, but I think we are probably okay waiting on planks for a little bit of time. It's also worth noting, this is a custom map that predates 1.0 experimental, so there is no bad water drain, there's no aquifers, there's no relics or whatever those things are called, so we can't go searching for any of that because it doesn't exist, but people wanted to play this and I thought it would be fun, so that is what we are doing. I am actually very impressed by how much kohlrabi we're able to get over here. That is pretty fantastic. I am pretty pleased with that. So if we know early on in Cycle 2 we're going to have some sort of power, we should plan out where that's going to go based on where water is flowing and what else we're going to put over there. Like specifically, at least an industrial lumber mill, which requires 75 HP. And I think it would be wise for us to get a fermenter if we can. Remember that it's not necessarily a super important thing early on. It's going to be more space efficient per tile, but right now it's probably not that big of a deal. So let's scout this out. Normally, if water were flowing, we would get a readout here attached to that thing that currently says 0 HP of what the flow rate would be. And since we don't have anything like that right now, we can't really judge. So maybe now's not the best time to do this, but if we have it in place before we start the next cycle, then we're going to be that much closer to being one step ahead. And knowing that now, we have clean water going to come through here. We have this blockage right here. I think, personally, this spot right here, or right here, would be a decent choice. But remember, we can't put a power shaft on... I love that this has a sound. We can't put a power shaft on a blockage, so there's not really a benefit for it to be here. If it were here, every bit of water that comes out of this has to go through here, and it's going to generate a decent amount of power. Probably not a ton. But we'll see. That is 25 logs, which we do have. If I were to put this here, we'd also need something to go here to put the power shaft on top of. And vertical power shaft obviously would not be a great choice for that just because we don't have the ability to make gears or planks right now. We do have the ability to build a dam for 20 logs. Or if I had 120 sides, we could make a levee for 12. We already know how that works. I believe it is probably not worth worrying about at this exact point in time. I just need to figure out if there's going to be any chance whatsoever I could expedite this. So that's the case for that spot. We do also have, of course, the ability to put one here without building anything else. But the problem with that is there's a lot that's going to get passed on this side. But, it's an option. It works. We have this space here that is going to be up at the very top. But, again, we can't really... we can't put period point blank put anything in here because there's not enough clearance. But coming out of that, we go all the way down into this bit, and then all of this has to come out here and then go down here to here, and then that flows off the edge there. So our ideal place for something to go would be right here, but there is a natural overhang that I don't think I want to get rid of, and we probably should not do anything with. So that pretty much eliminates this whole side right here for now as a reasonable place to put anything. Which then causes me to come upstairs and see what we're working with here. Obviously I don't have room here to build anything unless I were to put this right here, but then I'm back at the same spot, and that has the problem of, well, how am I going to attach this? And I don't want to get rid of these blueberries yet. I could also do this, or do one of these kind of things here, and it would be basically the same. But then, again, you run into the problem of how are you going to put any... Anyway, long story short, even though this is technically better, power generation-wise, for where we are now, without having the science and the industrial capacity to actually do any of this, putting it right here is going to be good enough. So... I'm sure there's at least a few who are like, just get on with it. We didn't need a 10-minute explanation. That's just how I like to do these. If you don't like it, that's okay. But I am going to do it the way I want to do it, because I know that the people that like these videos like them because they are the way that they are. So, happy to have you on board. Whether or not that is your preferred style, I'm glad you're here. Let's get that last one there. So, that says 0, as it should. One power shaft here is going to mean that we then have the ability, depending on how we want to do this, to put an industrial lumber mill. Oh, I got to get rid of that one tree. But I could, depending on how I want to do this, do that. Or actually, you know what? Yeah, you turn right back around. I see what you're doing. Depending on how I want to make this work. See, that's 20 logs, and then the dam is also 20 logs, so there'll be a total investment of 40 logs. Or, if I were to place that on these 6 tiles here, with that thing there, it's 20 logs, and I demolish the small tank, and then I also have to demolish this small tank, and then I'm kind of hemmed in here, but it's honestly kind of the best option overall, I feel. So, what I will do is I will set these 2 to empty. I know I should have just had them actually build this. But I think that's going to be fine. 54%, I don't want to wait another 6 days, and we have so many other trees on the map, I'm not going to lose any sleep just getting rid of this. This is already empty, conveniently, which gives us additional logs. Yeah, you see? Sometimes. When I make these choices, it's actually intelligent. But I think they should be able to, in pretty short order, get this emptied out, transferred somewhere else, and then I'll be able to curl this path around. And this guy is still paused. That's our emergency beaver. Though I think at this point, we're pretty safe not doing any more emergency beavering. Got 2 days left. Uh-oh. This just evaporated, I think. Yeah, I can't see any more water. And if I click on this, nothing changes. So... Maybe this is still irrigated from up here. If that's the case, then whoop-de-doo, we are going to be totally fine. And I panicked about this for nothing, but it's fine. Alright, so that is going to be our ticket there. Get this industrial lumber mill flipped. And 20 logs, which we already have. That's going to get connected right there. I think this should generate most of 75 HP, just a guess. Of course, I'm definitely not infallible in that regard. We'll see what happens. This is not the worst that we possibly could have done here, just not even by a long shot. So let's come down here. I've got a path that goes all the way down into this mess here. Yeah, without having access to platforms, I don't really have the ability to do too much. But if I get 100 science, remember, we don't need Forester quite yet. If I can get to 100 science, I can unlock the platform, and then we'll have those planks rolling in inside of 2 days from now. And then if that's the case, I can put a single platform right here, and I can have a pretty good source of fresh water without having it be a huge ordeal. I think that's going to be the way to do it. Let's get these oak trees marked for cutting. I don't think I have anyone that can reach those. But let's check on that. No, that doesn't even come close. Well, yeah, that's not going to work. I have to come up to. I know these are closer, but I also need these out of the way. Let's, for right now, just temporarily, if I can fit that there, if I can fit this here and still have the same kind of reach, I think that might be the way to go. In fact, I'm going to move this back one more tile here. That is just about perfect in terms of what I want to reach, so let's roll with that. And those guys taking care of what they need to take care of. We're living off the berries. That has no power. We have no power here. Let's pop open the baby beaver brewing bucket, and there we go. Now we got a little baby beaver. Get these guys started on the next one, because we probably are about to have our first death from old age sometime in the middle of cycle 2. Alright, so these are still good here. It's all good. I'm going to keep this paused so we don't have any labor wasted. We're also going to really want to make sure we have extra storage for water. So before things get too crazy, let's get these set up here as construction targets. Yeah, we're really going to want those as soon as we can. Let's get one more back here. And then that's going to give us 5 of those. That's 150. No, math is hard. No, it is 150 because they're 30 apiece. There we go. See, I'm not completely useless. Alright. Oh, and we can harvest these? How about that? Okay. Yeah, I'm feeling really good about this, folks. So before things get replanted here, let's slow this back down. Let's transfer some of these over to cassava, because remember, soybeans, canola, corn, all that, all require processing we can't do yet, and technically we can't do the cassavas yet, but furniture is not expensive, and that is going to be the next easiest thing for us to hook up to power here, as soon as we have the ability to put almost literally anything over here. So, cassavas take 5 days. Putting these slightly further away is probably going to be our best interest there. So that is what I will do. I don't know that this was irrigated before. There's also, not anything else right now that I can really do over here, so planting more cassava hurts absolutely no one. What I will do before things get super hectic and busy here is I will put another farmhouse in, just so we have the expandable labor should we choose to use it. And there we go. How are we doing on time? 39 minutes? Okay, great. Great. We're going to have most of the time that I want for this. Okay, so here comes cycle 2. And immediately we get all of this started to, I don't know why I forgot the word for wet again, but that's fine. Hydrated. Hydrate or dihydrate, as they say. But let's get beavers in these pumps once more. We do have 13 adults now, which is more than we had. I'm very interested to see how much power this puts out. If it's not 75, it's fine. If it's 50, it's probably okay for right now. Let's just see here. Oh, no. We're not doing this to me today. There we go. I was about to say, you better rotate. You better rotate. You know what's good for you. Alright. That is not looking super fast, but there is still a little bit of time for this to get quicker. Well, it's better than nothing. And I know this would have been better, but I don't have any way to really get power to it. Alright, Industrial Lumber Mill, your time to shine. So these guys are set to plant priority. That is okay. Who else can I stop? Worried about here. Let's pause that lumberjack flag. Remember that as soon as I have... Remember, I want to maintain access over here as well. As soon as I have my 100 science, I do want to unlock the platform and put a pump down here, because I think that's going to be a lot better. Anybody extra up here that we don't need to be spending resources on right now? Let's pause that gatherer flag. And then here, I know we're going to need to be able to fill this thing up. Yeah, it's going to need a refill sooner rather than later. That's okay. Now we're looking on the planks. Slowly. Very, very slowly. But that's the way it goes. We've got pines over here. We can leave those alone. We got pines down here. We can leave those alone at least until we have our first bad tide. That seems fine. Building unstaffed, by the way, is a change from building does not have workers. That was one of the recent things. Did this get any faster? No, it did not. Okay, well, when we get down here, we're going to have expanded opportunities. Like, say, for example, right in this exact spot here. This is going to give us 107, but I don't have a way to get power out of that, so 67... how that would work. 49 here. Okay. 103 if I could manage to get it through here, but man, 67 right here. That makes me feel like it's worth trying to yeah, it's worth trying to put something else down here. Well, actually, is that going to just keep going up? 71 would be more than enough to put a fermenter down here, and I know that's not... Yeah, it's not a convenient location in the slightest, but something to think about. We got options. We always have options. These guys are definitely... Oh, you know what I didn't do? I didn't put a tooth grindstone in. Well, that's going to make at least a couple of you very unhappy. Let's go ahead and put that in there. We got water coming in, looking fine. Yeah, I could use a couple more beavers right now, but that's alright. Having the one beaver in here is probably okay. These guys actually can't reach anything. So let's get them out of there. That should balance things out. I don't need 4 builders. Let's take that down to 2. That'll give me enough to keep that stuffed. I can turn this one back on. Yeah, I want to clear this area out as much as I can. That, I think, is going to be important. Yeah, because that's already taken care of here. That's not going to grow back at all. Make sure those are marked. Importantly, though, I really want to have beavers in there getting science because, well, I need science. 1 per hour. So it's going to be minimum another couple of days before we can do much of anything with that. We still only have a single plank. That is... Oh, that's so bad. So bad. Probably should put in a barracks at this point, seeing that our average well-being is -10. Well, you know, you have to suffer first before you can reap the benefits. Whoa, we are hungry beavers. We are very hungry beavers. How close to death hungry are we? Oh, they're just whiners. No, we're fine. We're okay. Can't get required logs. Okay. Well, that's why I sent this guy down here to cut these big trees down. You know how that goes. We all have the huge debuff. I say we. Well, I'm not hungry. I had dinner earlier. But these guys have nothing to eat because somebody didn't give them any food. Well, them's the breaks. 61%, 34, 14. Do I have any of these that are even close? No, we're looking at least a full day before we get a single other thing on here. Okay, there's some berries up here. We can get somebody into this spot. This does not have any berries. Let's pause that. Lower levels got them. I just can't get over there. Not yet. Okay, if we're not really building much... They still haven't finished this either. Sheesh. Well, at this point, I probably don't need it, so let's pause construction on that. Just to try and divert resources where they might actually be appreciated. Is this one actually... Oh, you're starving. That's why you have the -50%. Well, it's not a -50% debuff because that's double negative, but you know how that goes. As long as nobody dies of hunger. That's like the badge of shame when a beaver dies of hunger in episode 1. I know that tends to happen a lot, but... Yeah, one more berry in here. If I can just get that supplied, then this one's going to be good to go. Yeah, now we're down to -7. Okay, so the hunger got a little bit better. The shelter thing, yeah, well, we need some more logs first. We're not that far away, though. It's still 28, man. I bamboozled myself. But honestly, I don't know that there's much else I could have done at this time with the resources available to me. Did I already cut all these down? Okay, most of them down. That's, well... He's trying his best. I do have an unemployed beaver, so... Now that I've got space down here... Let me put one of these in. Did I get this built? I did. Okay. Well, they're just going to have to be hungry, folks. That is how this works. Now, the biggest insult would be is if I got the drought warning right now. Okay, good. Although that would have been actually very funny and probably made for a better video. But that's alright. I just need these kohlrabis to start coming in just a little bit faster. And this should be... Okay, no, we need berries first. Okay, we've harvested all of that. Do I have any of these coming online soon? 96%, 96, okay. That's going to end up being okay. Not great, but okay. Alright, I've got 6 planks. That is all it takes to build a single platform. Or, if I have 7 planks, I can build a forester, but like I've said, I really don't think we need to worry about a forester yet. We're going to want one probably soon. Maybe next episode. But for now, we're probably fine. And I'm not going to have any issue getting a fermenter built because I know we can just cut down more trees. Putting the compact water wheel in that spot we talked about, I think is going to be good. But even though this is at 98% productivity, the beaver working here has a -50% working speed. And we're not going to get a bonus on life expectancy until, what, 7? Is this the 7? I always forget what the intervals are for these. I probably should build a barracks first. That's not going to fit. Is there anywhere I can put one of these without it being a whole ordeal? I tend to forget that this is a challenging map for a reason. Well, man. This is like one of the only spots, really. Up here wouldn't be the worst idea. So that blocks that. If I had this come around that side, that would be okay. Around here, I got no room. Up here, actually, not the worst. Tell you what, for the sake of just not having to worry about it, I'm gonna put them over here. It's only gonna house 10 beavers, I know, but it's gonna help. So this extra beaver will stick in the... I didn't rename the district center. I always do that, and I always spell it wrong somehow. There we go. 31. Alright, this is waiting on berries. Yep, figured that much. And we have berries coming in, so that's fine. They are still very hungry, very thirsty. Well, not super thirsty, but they are definitely definitely hungry. Fear not, beavers. All you got to do is eat the kohlrabi and you'll be okay. And I've got these cassavas that well, now that we made it all the way through day 3 without any problems, we know we're going to get our full kohlrabi, cassava crop, assuming we can harvest it before it goes bad in the next drought, which they have a 3-day drought resistance. I don't think that's going to be a problem. Yeah, kohlrabi's here, berries coming in. It's still going to be kind of terrible for a while, but I think that's going to be fine. I've got 9 planks. I think for now that's okay. I'm going to pause this and keep those beavers, divert them to something else. Let's see, like right here I got berries they can harvest. Yeah, let's get them in there. This is still ready to go, right? Okay, good. Alright, triple speed it is. Oh, this is starting to get to be a long episode. Well, you know how it goes. Have they cut just about everything they can cut here? Not quite. Okay, so day 4 being the drought warning, that's better than nothing. So now I have a decision to make. I have to put in kohlrabi, not kohlrabi, why I always get these wrong, cassava processing while we still have power. So let's pause this here. When is my first cassava coming up? 63, 63, 63, 62. I think 63 is going to do it. Yeah, so we've got another 2 days. We are going to have a situation where we are not going to have water power by the time we can harvest the cassava, which means I don't need to focus anymore on putting anything down here. That also means, for those of you playing along at home, I'm going to have to build the beard wheel. That takes 50 logs, and it's also big. It's 3 by 3. But if I'm going to have a spot to put something somewhere, then, you know, there's worse ways to do this than sticking it up here. I just have to be able to get a staircase up here, which is going to require researching stairs. Those are only... Man, I wish these weren't 350. These are only 70. So if I don't need to build platforms, this is actually a viable thing. But before I commit to doing that, I really should exhaust all the other options here. Space-wise... Now I got the Portal 2 Space Core stuck in my head. Not Portal 2. You know how it goes. That game's old now. This pine seedling I'm not going to cry if I have to get rid of. Probably the easiest, least intrusive way to do this that even makes sense is to put the beard wheel here. To put the, what do you call it here? And then just slightly redo this. Okay, that's already marked. This would be in range. That would actually be one of the next trees to be removed. So let's do that. Let's commit to that right now. I know I've got space. I've got these other trees I could get rid of. But that's the last of those oaks down there until these grow in. I've got, how much? I got 2 here. I've got 6 here. Okay, so that's basically a full tree. Who else can I cut down? I guess I probably should try and leave those alone if I can. These over here will give me a little bit. Now, why are we not... Poor guys are probably exhausted. Oh, they're working. They're working. It's just slow. Let's go to full harvest mode now, because we're not going to have time to do much of anything else. And I also want to try to keep this right around an hour, usually. Okay. Now, as soon as that's done... Alright. The beard wheel, which, as I said, stands for Beaver Exercise and Rotary Device. And then the fermenter next to it, which I can either put there, and that's going to require those crops to be removed, or how long is this one? 92%. Okay, I can wait for that one to get cut down. It's not going to matter by that time anyway. Put a fermenter right here, and then once that tree gets cut down, it's probably going to be time for us to actually use this. Then that is going to give me the opportunity to have a little storage. Not for the fermented cassava, no, but for the unfermented cassava, because you're always going to have more storage density with the raw materials because of the way the game expands upon those. Alright, so that's looking, it's looking okay. I won't sit here and say that I'm super happy with, you know, the situation we're in with food and well-being and all that, but at least 10 of the beavers have a home now, so, oh, well, now it's not going to say it until they actually go to bed. Could be worse. Could definitely be worse. But remember, folks, this is hard mode. It's supposed to be hard. Now, the bigger question we're going to have to ask ourselves is what's going to happen with water? Because I've got the beavers working... Oh, now they're starving. Okay, let's see, this is how this goes. Lie down with the dogs, wake up with fleas. So... I feel like I'm not going to like the answer this is going to give. Oh, yes. I know. Pathetic that I am this amused by this. But, oh, man. See, it's going to dry up pretty quick. Not immediately, mind you, but since this is a gap here and this is a gap down here, by the time this is able to be finished, there's not going to be a meaningful amount of water that can be extracted from this. So I'm going to choose for that, you know, not to matter. That's going to be my, deal there. Okay, so the beaver working here is, once again, starving, and there's very limited options for food. But, now we ate, so, back to work, yes? Yeah, keep pumping. Keep pumping. Remember, we need a minimum of like 2.5 water per day per beaver, and we got 15 right now. So the very low end, and low end including some beavers will be thirsty until well into the first day of the new cycle. 30 per day, and right now we have 66, and I guarantee you this next drought is not going to be 2 days long. How about the beaver working here? Yep, that's that classic hunger debuff. Okay. Things are going to get bad before they get worse. Well, we haven't lost anybody to hunger yet. That's a good sign. Average well-being of -1. What changed? Okay, fewer beavers are hungry. That'll do it. Okay, 37 out of 50. 0. This is at 97, so that'll be within the next day. I got 1.7 days to pump. I don't really have anywhere else I can reasonably put a... Wait a minute. Okay, that's actually not any better. It's almost like the person who designed this map intentionally made it hard. What a concept, right? Anyway, I've got to cut some more trees down. Those are marked. I think this guy down here probably can't do anything else from where he is. And the answer to that is that I'm correct. Okay, 69%, 84%, 84, 80. These aren't going to be ready before the beginning of the next cycle, so let's pause that. We'll get that beaver back. Can't get to here without building a staircase. I can get over here, and I can grab these trees. This guy has the range to get them, so that's fine. We'll leave that open. Does not have the range for this. That's like, what, 12, 14 logs? I need another 5 for here, and okay, I need 25 for there. I get 9 back if I delete this farmhouse, and to this point it doesn't matter if this even exists, so let's just do that. Oh, this beaver doesn't need to be clocked in there. That's fine. I just gotta get these things going here. Honestly, we probably want to have some kohlrabies planted now that we know this will last most of the drought. So, okay, we do still have that. Alright, this is okay. This is fine. We do need to, you know, keep beavers in the pipeline. Yeah, I really shouldn't be worried about this. Alright, I'll tell you what. Let's pop this back over to planting. I know we're continually hungry forever. That is the eternal meme. Oh, we're working and there's nowhere for them to actually do anything. Alright, we'll stop that. You don't need to work for no reason. Let's make that the utmost priority here. I should have enough wood. Yeah, that's not going to be a problem, but these guys are working very slowly because they are exhausted and they have no food. Don't really blame you, dude. But they've replanted all of that, so a picking we will go. Get your kohlrabies out of here. Yeah, okay, I gotta get another. So many trees there. That's not gonna be enough trees. Can I get anywhere else besides over here? I don't think the answer is yes. And we don't have a meaningful additional quantity of water either. I mean, I got 67. I guess that's fine. Oh, that's the meme number. No, 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 no. No, no, no. Well, if I take this out and I put a lumberjack flag here, I can get to all of these except these 3, and I think that's going to have to be good enough. So I do have that extra beaver. These are not marked for cutting. Now they are. Alright, so that's gonna be better than nothing, at the very least. 10 out of 25. I only need 15 more. I'm not gonna get those before the start of the drought. That's probably okay. I've got my 100 science though, so if I really had bad decision making, then I could do this whole thing, but no, I'm not gonna mess with that yet. That being said, if I were to just put a single platform here, I could pump out of this as well, which for now, again, it's too late for now, but we could do that in the future if we felt so inclined. But for now, folks, I think this is going to have to be where I put this one to bed for today. I just want to see if they're able to get that up and running, because now we have our kohlrabies. I always call these things the wrong thing. We've got our cassavas over here that very soon we'll be able to process. Yeah, there's our first beaver died of old age. There you go. We're getting there. We're getting there. Just hold on. Hold on a little bit longer, beavers. A little bit longer. Yeah, they're gonna be. I'm not gonna say they're gonna be, you know, great, but they're gonna be all right. They'll be fine. So here's where we're at. End of this first episode. We technically have not killed any beavers from hunger yet. Got a pretty good start on a pretty challenging map. We have potential for food in spades. We just have to finish the fermenter, and we've got to get these guys in the farmhouse to connect these cassavas. And after that, you know, we'll hit reset on the beaver's hunger for a little bit. And I think things are going to be fine. We got about 2/3 of the beavers housed. That is honestly better than I thought it would be. And again, things could be worse. They could be much worse, and they probably will be. But still a pretty good start. So if this is your first time watching one of these videos, the reason I'm able to do these long-form unedited hour-long things the way that I like to do them and not try to chase the algorithm or whatever is because we have folks who support the channel with memberships. I call them the Beard Boosters to keep with the theme. But those folks really do genuinely make it possible for us to just focus on having fun playing the game, not try to, you know, make the snappiest 20-minute attention span deficit edit possible. And there's plenty of people that do that, and I enjoy watching those too. But this is the way I like doing these things, and those folks make it possible. I'm always going to take the opportunity to thank them. But now we got an 8-day drought. Oh boy. I'm going to hit pause before I end this video, because we're going to have to do some damage control at the start of episode 2. In fact, I already know what I'm going to have to do, and I'm going to forget if I don't do it. So, oh no, we're breaking the order. It's fine. I'm going to put a platform there. I'm going to put a deep water pump. Probably here, so I can get down to that pool. And then, friends, we are going to have ourselves a time. Try to keep these beavers alive for 8 days. But the good news is, we've got cassava. We almost have a fermenter. And boy, oh boy, are we off to a start on Ant Hill, Ant Farm, whatever the map's named. Ant Farm V3 by Moose150, if you want to play along with us. But yeah, that's going to be it for this one, folks. I will see you all in episode 2 coming sometime in the next couple of days. But for now, whatever you're doing with the rest of your day, stay safe, have fun, try to, you know, stay a little bit more hydrated and fed than these beavers, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, friends. Bye-bye.